So one of the most dangerous things that you can do for your career is not being able to differentiate between what lies in your control versus what lies out of your control. And in my own personal experience, it was one of the hardest and toughest parts of my music career to deal with. And a lot of people tend to get frustrated when they're putting a lot of emphasis on stuff that remains out of their control. One of the most damaging things that I did for my career last year was not being able to differentiate between the two. Now, if you're new to the K-pop sort of music pitching process, there's a lot of links in the chain before you actually get a cut or a hit. And all of that is out of your control, effectively. Now, I've been writing songs for years. I've been producing for about 10, 15 years now. And by far, this has been one of the hardest things that I had to go through. What happened is, last year, all I was doing was K-pop. I cut off all my other music projects and just focused on writing songs every week and then just sending them to the publisher and hoping that they would get hit, hoping that they would get cut and whatnot. And what happened over time is that it was taking, the more effort I was putting in to songwriting and production, the more songs that were getting accepted by the pitcher to be pitched to the record labels, the more I was feeling sad and the more I was losing slowly my confidence in my own musical abilities. And I ended up going into quite a deep sadness. I didn't really understand what was happening. You know, on the one hand, I was being told to keep going, keep doing it, and that's fine. But something inside me was quite not settled. So the K-pop process is, I effectively write a song and then I send it to a top liner. A top liner decides if they want it, and then we write the song. After that, we pitch it to our UK publisher. They decide if they want it. They pitch it to our song pitcher over in Tokyo in Japan. They decide if they want it. Then they pitch it to all the major record labels around Asia and whatnot, and then they decide if they want it or not. So as you can see, effectively everything that I just created is out of my control. And the problem was I was putting so much emphasis on the cuts and it becomes slowly toxic, and it started to take over my mind, my mentality, and started feeling very sad and frustrated. And I realized that I was putting too much hope on an external influence in my own career. I was putting way too much emphasis on someone else's decision that would validate me as a writer. And it was weird because I started losing confidence in myself, my abilities, and I started to write off the last 15 years of experience. So I started to write off all the sacrifices I made, taking the low-paying retail job to get better at a songwriter, the highs, the lows, the failures, everything that I'd learned along the way. I started to write off as not being relevant anymore. So not only was I not getting cuts as a K-pop music producer, but I was actually losing my confidence as a general musician and songwriter as a whole, which it's not even related when you look back at it, is it? For you, if you're watching this video and you're going through the same sort of process, and it doesn't even have to be music, it could be anything, but it's very important to understand the difference between something that is in your control and out of your control, and to be able to recognize it and practice it and sit back and go, right, as soon as I send this email or I send this messenger, this IM to someone, as soon as that's sent, it's out of your control and you can't do anything about it. And I think this is a lot of frustration in people. And I actually ended up reading books on Stoicism. One book by Ryan Holiday, who actually has a YouTube channel as well called The Daily Stoic. Highly recommend it. Go check it out. But it's funny because we have these philosophers of like thousands of years old, and the issues that they're talking about back then are completely relevant in today's society, completely relevant. And it's kind of comforting to know that people thousands of years ago are effectively still going through the same problems that we are now. I'm still very new to the whole Stoic philosophy, but seeing as I went through all that last year, I felt that it resonated and was a lot more kind of closer to me. The way that I resolved this is, instead of focusing on just getting cuts and hits in K-pop, I wanted to focus on something that was more in my control and something based a bit more on merit and a bit more more in my control. So my focus now has shifted from trying to get loads of K-pop top 10 hits and move more towards writing 100 awesome songs, incredible songs. If I can just see the number of 100 tracks of songs that I can sit back and go, that was awesome, I genuinely feel that I would be moving in the right direction. I'd still be feeling quite stable and happy, and cuts and hits would be a nice byproduct of trying to reach that target of 100 songs. I hope this video was helpful for you, and take what you want from it. Some of it might work for you, some of it might not work for you, but I felt that I wanted to share a lot more of my own personal stories and experience with you on this camera here. And let me know in the comment box below if you've had to deal with any sort of tough challenges that life's thrown at you with your career. Thanks so much. If you enjoyed the video, do the usual, hit that like and subscribe button, and I will catch you again soon. Awesome.